Okay, Keith here. So, wanted to go back to chords. Remember, we learned, and by the way, I think this is probably one of the most important things you can learn when you're starting. We learned the open chords C and G, and then we did D, and F's a little bit more challenging when you're starting. B flat. And then we learned the 6-string root chords, where the root is here in this form. And then you'll move fingers to make a minor sevenths. So there's G7, G minor 7. Review all those. And then there was the 5th string root chords, like I call them, C, C minor 7, C7, and here. So all those chords. So how do you learn to use them and play them in tunes? The most important thing is you can learn common chord progressions that are used in the majority of tunes, okay? So one of the first ones to know is, of course, this one. 1, 4, 5, 4, 1. Now, it's important that you understand key signatures. If you're in the key of C, C is number 1, okay? Guess what 2 is? And C has no sharps or no flats in it, naturally. So C is number 1, number 2 is D, 3 is E, 4 is F, 5 is G, 6 is A, 7 is B, and back to 1 is C. Now, in a major key, all the 1, the 4, which in C is F, and the 5 are all major, okay? So in other words, if somebody says we're going to play in the key of C, we're going to play 1, 4, 5, you're going to play C, G, F, now, how many times have you heard that, okay, in different forms? So you should learn to play it with open string chords, okay? Now, what you should do with the open string chords is say, oh, well, that's maybe make it a little bit higher. I could sing it better in D. Well, you know D is number 1 now. So what's the 1 chord? D. What's the 4 chord? G. What's the 5 chord? A. Back to 4. Back to 1. So you just transposed it to D. Now you're going to run into sharps and flats. That's why it's important to go back to the lesson on keys and key signatures, okay? But for now, if you stay like this with some of these basic open string chords, you don't really 1, 4, and 5 don't fall into having sharps or flats. Same with E. Now go to the key of E. Well, what's 1? E is 1 now. Well, what's 4? E, F, G, A. A is 4, B is 5. Now it's actually in E, it's actually F sharp and G sharp, but don't worry about that because it's not coming into play right now. So it's E, A, right? Just with your open string chords. So now you played that progression, or could be that tune, and how many tunes have you heard like that in 3 different keys? You can put it in any key. What if somebody said play it in G? Well, G is 1. What's 4? G, A, B, C. C, G, and that's all with open string chords, okay? Well, now you should learn to play them like that, but then remember we learned 6-string root chords. G, and there's a certain pattern. Now what's 4? C, and it's right below it with the other major form, and then up to 5. Back to 4. Now you're playing it in G. Can we take it up to A? Well, yeah, just move it up. What's 1? A, B, C, D, E is 5. A, so I'm starting with 6-string root chords, and I'm playing the same pattern, but in my head I know that I'm playing 1, 4, 5. Real important. And remember, if you do it down here, A, D, E, So you should be able to change things to different keys by moving the root. And musicians call it tonic, which is the one chord. They call that tonic. So whatever key you're in, the one chord is always the name of the key. And it's usually always major. I mean, there's all sorts of exceptions to this stuff, but most of the time, just learn the basics. It's 1, 4, and 5 in any key. Now, suppose somebody says, I need it in D flat. Well, remember our 5th string root chords? Here was our 5th string form. There's D flat. Now the pattern for this is, well, let's see. D flat, it's up here. You gotta learn the key signatures. That's why it's important to go back and understand that. Like, what's 1 in D flat? Well, D flat. What's 2? Well, it's E flat. You have to know how many sharps and how many flats make up the different keys. It's critically important so you can transpose 1, 4, 5 to any key. And you'll find hundreds of songs you'll hear this over and over and over again if you haven't already. The other thing I want to tell you about is, well, what do you do? The other real common one is 6, 4, 5. So 1, 6, 4, 5. Okay, what if I could play that in every key? Now that's a million tunes. Okay, even some pop ones that you may not even think of right now. You know, everybody relates that to the 50s progression. 1, C, 6 is A minor. Now, in a major key, 6 is always minor usually, okay? When it's played diatonic. And diatonic means, they'll say, 6 is usually always minor when it's diatonic. In other words, they don't add any sharps or flats to the key, or it occurs naturally. So there's no notes in this A minor chord that is outside of the key signature of C, is what that really means. See, it makes a minor chord. Why is it minor? Because it stacks a major third on top of a minor third. So if you go back to the theory lessons, you'd understand that. What makes a minor chord? When you have a major third, and on top of that, what makes a minor is a minor third. On top of that, you put a major third, and you switch it around to get a major chord. You put the major third on the bottom and put the minor third on top. So that tells you what notes are in the chords. So anyway, back to this 1, 6, 5. Well, what if somebody says, I don't want it in that key? Play it in G. Well, G, A, B, C, D, E minor. Okay, the 4, G, A, B, C is 4, 5 is D. So we're going to go G, right, 4, 5. 1, 4. And you can play it anywhere. You'll start to learn passing chords once you learn this. So 1, 6, 4, 5. How about let's pick a D minor or D major. B minor, G, A, wherever you want to grab it. D, G. Okay, and there's even a lot more tunes. Like if you think of some of, you listen to like some Ed Sheeran, you know, there's a lot of them that he does. He uses those progressions quite a bit. I'm perfect. I don't want to play it so I don't get dinged for copyright. But it's 1, 6, 4, 5. Then you know they do these nice walk downs, which are diatonic chords in the key, which we'll get into. Even some older tunes. Remember that one? Well, what is that? That's 1, 6, 4, 5. And sometimes he goes to 6. but it's always the diatonic chords that make it. So there's a lot of things that you can learn, but you have to get this patterns of these common diatonic, and you can expand out from that, and of course we will. But you want to learn to play the chords, the common chord progressions, and those are the first two common ones. I mean, there's lots of them. When you get into, you hear a lot of. This is a real common. It's called 1 flat 7 1. It's very common. Just some other ones off the top. If you're in C, 1 4 major 4 minor 1, but I don't want to get into them right now. We'll get into detail with some of them. But once you get all these cliches, they're kind of cliches, but they're just common chord progressions. You get the sound of them in your head. You'll hear hundreds of tunes, and that's how some really great musicians memorize thousands of tunes. They hear what's coming up. So learn those two things. Go back and review the chords. Practice changing them to 1 4 5 in every key. 1 6 4 5. Learn key signatures. Think of what's 1, what's 4, and what's 5. Add the 6 minor in every key. And start playing these progressions in every key, and you'll start hearing things that you probably weren't aware of. So, okay, until next time, that's our chord progression lesson today. Any questions, ask them below, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks a lot for watching.
If you want a more personalized guidance, I offer online lessons for $25 for half an hour. A few lessons can get you pointed in the right direction and boost your progress, especially if you're just starting out learning some chords and some scales and some things of that nature. Just reach out to me through the contact info in the description. Okay, let's get to the next lesson. Practice hard.